This is Mon Health Talk, a weekly program focusing on the dedicated physicians, nurses, and staff at Mon Health, the region's premier community hospital system. People with skillful hands and bright minds using state-of-the-art technology. We don't just practice medicine, we care for people like family. That's why at Mon Health you can feel the difference. Once again, welcome to this edition of Mon Health Talk.
Mon Health Talk for this Monday. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle Wiggs, and with us Dr. Brian Huggins, Health Officer for the Monongalia County Health Department, his monthly visit. And good morning. Thanks for coming in.
Good morning, Carl. Happy Monday.
We've got a lot of ground to cover here. So what we're going to talk about is safety, right, for spring and summer.
Yeah. It's next month. My Monday is Memorial Day, and I'm pretty sure you're not going to be here on Memorial Day, are you?
Yeah.
You are here.
Keep this in mind.
Okay.
What stays on the air 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year?
It's the radio.
It's the radio.
All right.
Exactly.
Well, then maybe I'll see you next month. Okay.
That doesn't mean you have to come in. You've got a normal job with normal hours.
What about normal? That's an interesting word.
But I will give you the option. I guarantee you I will be here.
Okay. All right. Well, I could have done this in May, but you know what? It's warm now.
Right. It was warm yesterday.
That's right.
It wasn't warm this morning, but it's going to get warm very, very soon. Anyway, let's get into general safety, how to stay safe in the spring and the summer. The sun is wonderful. The sun is life, right?
Yeah.
But it can be dangerous.
Yeah. When you talk about outdoor safety and chances of things occurring, the reality, there was growing up in high school in the 90s, there was this Baz Luhrmann, the sunscreen song. It was actually a little tiny book, and he turned it into a thing. And basically he talks about if the one piece of advice that he's going to give that's actually backed in science is wear sunscreen. And that's really true, because your chances of getting skin cancer, that is something that all of us are potentially exposed to. And the UV radiation, I grew up where putting on sunscreen is not, But what we found is that it can actually cause, skin cancer is caused by two things with the sun. One, really bad burns. So when you have a really bad burn, that actually puts you at risk, but also lifetime exposure. And so it's really important that any time that you're out in the sun, that you're putting on something that's like SPF 15. So 15 is that magic number. They make some crazy like 50, 100, but 15 is the magic number where you start to see really good results.
Okay, 15 does the trick.
15 does the trick.
The other stuff's okay, but 15 does the trick.
Yeah, anything lower than that, probably not really getting what you need to help prevent cancer.
Okay, how do you know? Obviously, everyone's at risk, but are there symptoms to give you an indication that you may be in trouble, you need to have something checked out?
Yeah, it's what we call the ABCs, which makes it, I guess, kind of, easy. And it's got, when you're looking at your moles, you're going to look for these kinds of things. You're going to look for asymmetry. You're going to look for something that doesn't, in an uneven border. So does it not look the same? Does it not, around the border, does the border look rough instead of kind of being like circular for the most part? Color, you're looking for, does it look black? Does it look darker? Does it have uneven color? Again, asymmetry throughout it. Diameter, usually anything that's a little bit over a few millimeters is higher risk. It doesn't mean that is definitely going to be a problem, but it's higher risk. And then is it evolving? Does it change? So A, B, C, D, E, you're looking to see any of those things. I would recommend talk to your primary care provider, go see a dermatologist. A lot of insurance now actually let you see a dermatologist without even having to go through your primary care provider, and they can do a head to toe. And let me tell you, it's important. I know it can be embarrassing, but it is important to get a head to toe, because melanoma can actually pop anywhere that you've got squamous cells, so skin cells, which means even inside your mouth, even inside somewhat into your genital areas, you can get melanoma. And there are places on our body we don't check very often. So,
well, you wouldn't think of that. So you can expose your face and your neck and your arms and your hands to to sun, and the cancer could appear somewhere where you have clothing covering your body at all times.
Absolutely. I've seen scrotal. I've seen on your buttocks. So it can be anywhere on the body, and that's the mystifying thing. It's not where you get the burn. It could be anywhere.
Okay, that's news to me, as they say, and that's very good information. What about the eyes? I don't think we think about our eyes. I personally cannot go out in the sun and have my eyes completely open without sunglasses. So I wear sunglasses all the time because, again, I can't open my eyes in the bright sun.
When you've got lighter colored eyes, right?
I got blue, yes.
Blue eyes, yeah. And that is true for blue-eyed people and even for green-eyed people. Brown-eyed people, we have this protection in our iris that helps us because my wife, same thing, she's got green eyes and she steps outside and it's like, it's physically painful. And I'm like, oh, I don't notice it as much. So people that have lighter eyes have that problem. But UV radiation can actually destroy your retina. It can actually cause problems within the eye. And so, you can also develop cataracts sooner. So it is important to wear. That's why wearing that have UV protection. They make a lot of sunglasses now that are fashionable, but they're not actually giving you any UV protection. So
all right, so the ones that are $10 at the rack at the discount store, probably not good enough.
They might
to
be
protect.
okay. I bought my share of $10
really?
sunglasses.
All right.
So, but they're not the most fashionable.
So again, go over what the key is there. What does the tag need to say for it to be okay?
Wear sunscreen, wear sunglasses, or a wide-brimmed hat. And for the sunglasses, on the tag, you're going to see covers UVA, UVB. So you want to see that on the sunglasses. Covers UVA, UVB. And all the ones that are actually made that way, say it. You'll be able. It should be pretty clear.
UVA, UVB.
Yep.
Very good. Okay. Yep. Simple and to
and
the
just
point
as
there.
a final foot stomp, sunscreen reduces melanoma by 50% when you wear it.
Wow.
So chances it dramatically reduces your risk.
Okay. Heat-related illness. Now, I've already mowed 3 times already. And it isn't even hot yet.
It's a rainy spring.
It's been a rainy spring. That's exactly right. So June rolls around, July rolls around. It's 94 degrees. The humidity's high. You've got to take precautions, not only if you're mowing, but if you're out gardening, if you're out playing pickleball, whatever you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. You see at concerts, right? Fairs and festivals. A big thing is especially when you start to see alcohol involved, it's very easy to forget to drink water. And this is where people run into risk. So about that middle of summer. So this time of year, it's not as bad. But again, that's deceiving because like you said, you could be out mowing, you could be doing work right now. You're still losing fluid. And you think, well, it's not that hot, so I don't need to stay hydrated. So yes, absolutely critical.
Okay, so alcohol dehydrates you, correct?
It does. It does.
What about caffeine?
Caffeine's also bad for you. So caffeine actually helps. In a way, it will actually reduce your sense for thirst, and so that you don't drink as much. Sugary drinks are the biggest culprit of caffeine. Sugary drinks, they actually, it seems like you're drinking water. I mean, you've got this thing of fluid, and it is mostly water, so that's not necessarily untrue, but it also quenches your thirst in a way that you're not getting the right amount of water and you're not wanting more water. So it's really important to not do that. Now, the exception to that is going to be your sports drinks. So those come with sugar in them. It's better to get a sports drink that's either low sugar or no sugar, but those come with electrolytes that are also being replaced because when you sweat, you're losing sodium. To some extent, your potassium levels go a little bit awkward, and that's why they were made.
Okay, so caffeine's in tea. Caffeine's in most soft drinks.
Yep.
What's the worst there, or are there degrees? Mountain Dew probably has the worst or the most, right?
Energy drinks.
Energy drinks
now.
Okay.
It used to be
Good
Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew was
Mountain Dew was the energy drink. Now there's energy drink.
Yeah. Now the energy drinks, especially these monster drinks that are huge, and those come with just all kinds of. I could do a whole show on energy drinks just because those come with so many additives now, and I've seen people come in, to the clinic. And they've already drank 2 energy drinks for the day, 20-year-olds. Their blood pressure's like 160 over 100. They're having heart palpitations. I'm like, they're not good for you.
Okay, so here's something to consider. You've got a day's worth of work outside, whether it's mowing or whatever it is, and you take the energy drink thinking, this is going to get me through the day.
Yeah.
Well, it has the opposite effect on your health.
Yes. Yes. Honestly, straight coffee is probably, if you just want a little bit of caffeine, without a ton of sugar. I mean, Starbucks ruined that for people too. Is, you go in and here's your 6 pumps of white mocha, right? Like.
All right. So heat-related illness and injury.
Yep.
What are the symptoms, and when is it too late? I mean, if you start feeling bad, you need to stop doing whatever you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Because if you push it too far, then you're really in trouble.
Yeah. You go from just like dehydration to heat rash and where you break out. But the more people really you start to see it is when you start to get heat cramps. So if you're starting to get cramps, muscle aches, people will get it in their stomach, right? That's probably your first sign. And then you get to heat exhaustion. And then after that, heat stroke. So in heat exhaustion, that's when you start to get a headache, you get nausea, you get weak, and you get heavy sweating. At that point, you're already on the brink of probably close to passing out. So at that point, you really need to be cooled down. And when you get the heat stroke, that's when your body temperature rapidly rises and your skin goes dry. And that's kind of the medical way of knowing, is somebody in heat exhaustion versus heat stroke, are they still sweating a lot, or is their skin now dry? And that's because your body is just hit to the point where it can't even cool itself off.
Okay, so you're with someone who's experiencing these symptoms. What do you do to help them?
Got to cool them down as fast as you can. First thing is get them into a shady spot. Get them out of the heat. If you can get them into air conditioning, great. Cool water, like get some cool water on them. Don't pour just a bottle of water that's iced on top of them. Put it onto a paper towel so you can put like a wet compress on them so it'll last longer. Do whatever you can if you can get their clothes a little bit cool. Just be careful with putting freezing, like don't dump a thing of Gatorade on somebody. I mean, if that's the only thing you have, but that's really the biggest recommendation, is get them cool and get them drinking water, straight water.
Okay. Let's move on to cooking outdoors. Grills are great, and gas grills are great with the propane tanks.
Yeah.
But you've got to check them right. You've got to make sure they're in good condition before you start them up for the season.
Oh yeah. So 9,000 home fires a year caused by grills.
Wow.
4,000 of those are structure fires, and 4,500 of those are just outdoor fires in your yard. So in 20% of those fires, 1 out of every 5, was because they didn't clean the grill. And they had probably leftover soot from the previous year, or they've just gone all summer. And of course, you've got it's not a cast iron pan, right? If you have a cast iron pan, it's like, oh no, you want that in the cast iron. It adds flavor. Grills, that's a fire hazard. So you really do want to make sure that you're getting there. The other big thing is checking the tank for leaks, especially the first time of the year that you're starting to use it. If you've left it outside all winter, really look at that tank. Make sure you don't have leaks. Listen to it. Sometimes it's better to detach the tank at the end of the year and then either get a new tank or put the tank back on when you start.
Okay,
yeah.
Bring it inside, maybe in the garage or something. What about the fire pits? Do you have the gas-related fire pits, you have the same potential for a fire or for an explosion, right?
Yeah, wind. So the biggest thing is trying to keep, especially with fire pits, grills are sometimes harder, but keeping them away from your house or your structure. I think even in the city of Morgantown, there is a city code that it needs to be at least, I want to say it's either 15 or 25 feet. I'm probably going to get in trouble for getting that wrong, but away from your house, because wind, especially with the fire pits, will pick it up when you don't even think about it. It'll pull smashes out of it. It'll pull something out of it, and it can go straight to your house. It could go wherever. Another huge problem is, of course, people that just pour kerosene and gasoline on to light it. We've all seen it, and we all think it's fun. I mean, I've been at a campfire where I've watched that happen, and when you're, I don't know, before I really thought about safety, you think, wow, look at that blaze. But that is extraordinarily dangerous. And so it really, if anything, lighter fluid you should use, but if you can get away with it, don't use any kind of starter.
Mm-hmm. Okay, food safety. People getting sick in the backyard or at the picnic, and I believe it was you that said once that mayonnaise is the thing.
Mayonnaise is it's the devil. It's the devil. Yeah. 1 in 6 people every year get sick. Most of us don't do anything about it. You probably have a little diarrhea or something, and you don't do anything about it. But there's 3,000 deaths, and 100%. The problem is, you go on a cookout, right? You're having fun. Memorial Day is coming up. You're having a good time. Everybody brings a potluck. And what do? You find the only picnic table left. Picnic table's in the sun. You put all your food out, and then you go do stuff. right? And then you come back, and now all of your stuff's been sitting in the sun. It is really not awesome. Mayonnaise is hands down the worst culprit. And think of all the things that have mayonnaise: potato salad, egg salad, devil's egg, right? In a bottle, because people want it on their burgers. It is, for whatever reason, just that combination of what's in it, because mayonnaise has eggs in it too. The bacterial growth can happen so fast. Like mayonnaise in over 90 degrees can actually become bad in just an hour. And so at less than 90 degrees, it can take 2 hours. Some foods, they just spoil really quickly.
Yeah.
So coolers. Like, the best thing you can do is keep the potato salad in a cooler with ice and just don't leave it on the table.
Yeah, don't leave it in the sun, certainly. Make sure it's covered, and ice would be great. Okay, and mixing, keeping raw food away from cooked food.
Yeah, the biggest thing
the burgers and the raw chicken.
You see the people that use the same spatula, like, I'm going to put the spatula under the raw meat on the plate and put it on the thing, and then I'm just going to keep using back and forth. Or worse yet, people take the plate that they brought their burgers out and they put the cooked burgers on the... Yeah, I know there's blood on that plate, but it's not good blood. That's not that juicy, delicious blood. No. Well, maybe if you're a vampire, I don't know.
All right, so food safety. Let's move on to water safety. And obviously with Cheat Lake right down the road here, it's going to be a big time on Cheat Lake this Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, the sad part of this story really is about child deaths. And so there's too many. You see 350 children drown a year. And that's not just like lakes. Honestly, the biggest culprit there is swimming pools. People leave their pools, unfenced. And a lot of people think, why have a cover on the pool? The covers on the pool can actually cause a bigger problem, because if the person falls into the pool, or the kid, sometimes they get wrapped up in the cover and they can't get out. So you really just need to not be able to let people get into the pool in some way, shape, or form. And that's really what you see. It's unsupervised. It's not parents that are looking away. I mean, when you get to the beach and you get to the lake and you talk about riptides and water safety there, 100%. You've got to keep your eyes on your kids. You've just got to be safe. There's just a lot to that. So protect kids. And if you have a pool and you don't have kids, think about neighbor kids that might try to sneak into your pool.
Okay, so water safety, there's a lot of common sense there. All right, so hiking, biking, and camping. Holy cow, we could do a whole show on that in this area, especially with the snakes that are out there, the copperheads, the ticks, and the mosquitoes. Those are big issues. Yeah,
and maybe that's what we'll do on Memorial Day. Maybe we'll come back and we'll hit just a bigger, so maybe we'll just spend the last bit of time. I'll talk next time about all the diseases that you can get from the animals and stuff like that. But let's just talk about some general safety when you're out in the woods. And I think that's really important to talk about. When you're out hiking, so I'm guilty of this. If you're going to go out and do activity and you're going to do it alone, make sure you let somebody know where you're going to be. The best, it really is, find friends. And I am absolutely guilty of this. My wife and I were talking about this yesterday, that it took her about a year before she could move to Morgantown with me. And of course, I'm up at Cooper's Rock out on Rattlesnake Trail or something, and she would worry, like, what happens, right? There's rattlesnakes, there's whatever. What if you fall? Who's going to find you? I mean, up at Cooper's Rock, you fall over a cliff. Who knows when? You fall off Raven Rock, who's going to find you? I mean, when? Yeah. And so you should always have a plan. Always know where you're going to be. Let someone know where you're going to be. Find out if you're going to have GPS signal, phone signal. You see in the news all the time, hiker disappeared, right? Like we've seen a lot of those news stories that are happening lately, where you've got someone disappeared, they went and go find them, and then there they were. And things that you can also take with you. Take a loud whistle, right? Like a rape whistle or something like that. That way people could find you. So if you fall and you're injured on the ground, luckily with the valleys that we have, it would sometimes really spin up and it'll do great like that, right? So those are just some big tips with that. Yeah.
All right. And if, again, you're going for a long hike, make sure you're properly attired. Make sure your shoes or your boots are correct.
Yeah.
And make sure you warm up a little bit, right? Stretch. Get out, like you say, get out by yourself and pull your hamstring or injure your Achilles or whatever.
Right.
You're down on the ground.
Right. And, dress for the season, right? Layers. They always talk about layers, but layers are great. A lot of people don't want to do layers because they don't want to have to carry something for the rest of the day. And I get that. But if you, breathy layers that get some air, then it works out. It's great. Yeah.
All right. So, again, just a lot of common sense. We got about a minute to go. And what did we learn today? I think the main thing I learned today is that you can expose one part of your body to sun, your face or your arms or your shoulders or your back, and the cancer can show up in a completely different part of your body. I had no idea.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the marvel of our body. And sometimes in bad ways. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. And, and I'm looking forward to next month. Next month, we're going to hit all things outdoor rec, and we'll talk about mosquito disease and rabies.
Ticks.
And maybe campfire songs.
All right. Very good. Great information. We appreciate your time. Dr. Brian Huggins, health officer with the Monongalia County Health Department, on this edition of Mon Health Talk Radio. And again, we get a visit from Dr. Huggins in the Monongalia County Health Department once a month, and we're heading into the warmer part of the year. So this information is good. It's common sense, but you need to think about it, and we'll talk more next month. We appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
That is Mon Health Talk Radio for this Monday. Thanks for joining us. Stay tuned. The news is next, coming up here on WAJR.